start with, let's start at the beginning with Little Odessa, your debut. It was released when you were 25 in 1994, which coincided with this wave of US indie cinema, of which maybe Tarantino was the poster boy. And it's interesting that you started at that time because you were kind of adjacent to all of that. For instance, your film premiered in competition in Venice, whereas that whole wave is usually associated with Sundance more. I was wondering if you could talk about that experience of starting out in that environment.
It's a great question. You don't think of yourself as, I mean, you have much better perspective on that than I do in a way, because the way that I wound up going to Venice with that film was really a happy set of accidents that allowed the film to be saved. And you talk about Sundance. I did go to Sundance as a premiere with Little Odessa after Venice, but I was never part of the Sundance group, it's true. I think out of their choice, not mine. I think they didn't like me. And I basically, very simply, what happened was I made this film, which I was very lucky to get made. I was 23 at the time when I started shooting. And when I finished the film, they didn't like it. And I'm deeply indebted to a woman named Cam Galano at New Line who found the script, and this other woman, Sonoko Sakai, who basically picked the script out of a garbage can and decided to make, literally, decided to make the film. But then when the film was made, it was like, what is this movie? What do we do? The studio didn't know what to do with it. You can imagine. So what happened? The Italian producer, the production, Cecchi Gori, and they said, well, let's show it to the head of the Venice Film Festival. We'll see what happens. Other than that, maybe we'll just put it on a shelf somewhere. And the guy who saw it, who ran the festival, was Gillo Pontecorvo. I think you know who that is. And he ran the Venice Film Festival at the time, and he said, this film is a masterpiece. I'm going to put it in the competition. And all of a sudden, the film, oh, maybe this isn't such a piece of shit. So then they said, okay, we're going to put it in Venice. If it plays, anybody likes it, fine. But if nobody likes it, that's it, Gray, you're done. And so it played in the competition. I'll never forget, I went there and I was in a tuxedo. And everybody else was in jeans and a t-shirt. And I'm, you know, this 25-year-old in a tuxedo. And they think I'm the waiter. You know, they're like, I'll have a champagne, you know, and I'm like, no, I directed the film, that's me. So, anyway, to make a long story longer and bore you all more, the picture played, it was a horrible screening. I'll answer your questions, a point to all this. It was a horrible screening, and Maximilian Schell, who's in the film, I remember he drove down from wherever he was to Venice. And I think he was in a convertible and the top wasn't functioning to close, and it rained on him the whole way. And he was in a really bad mood, and he showed up and he was like, I had a lot of rain on my head and I'm very wet. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, but I'm here. And where is your Tim Ross? Where is Tim Ross? I said, Tim Roth? Yes, Tim Ross. Where is he? I said, well, he couldn't come. He's shooting. I'm here, but not Tim Ross. So anyway, we go into the official screening, it's half full, I'm in black tie, nobody else is. He sits down to my right, Giorgio Armani shows up. And he sits to my left. And the movie is playing. And the audience is dead. And Max leans over at one point, I don't understand, by the way, to this day, what the heck he's talking about. But he starts saying, the first thing that's making noise, like this. Then he starts saying, I am bald and I am fat and I will never again play Handel. Now, it's what, 30 whatever years since then, and I still have no idea what the hell he was talking about. I will never again play Handel. Handel, the composer? I will not do it. I will not play Handel. I can't do it. And then Giorgio Armani starts getting more irritable. He says, Maximilian, shut up, trying to watch movie. I'm bold, I want to play Handel, shut up. And the movie ends and you hear crickets, nobody's laughing or cheering or anything. It's the darkest movie in the world. And I remember the studio going, you know, you had your chance to make films and you know, you're 24 or 25 and now it's done. And I was all depressed. I flew back to Los Angeles. I got off the plane, and as I was walking off the plane, a woman was holding a sign, call this number, and the movie had won a prize, a couple prizes. So I had to fly back. I fly back, I immediately get into black tie, and within minutes, Monica Vitti is giving me a kiss, and Al Pacino and I are having dinner, and I thought, man, I'm the guy. So, you know, I had the low and the high, and I recognized pretty quickly that the other filmmakers of my generation, a lot of whom I really admire and love as people, they didn't take the same route, and I'm friends with so many of them. Like, for example, I'm very close friends with Wes Anderson, and we've been very close buddies for over 30 years. But I'm not part of the way he got to make film. Like, my path was sui generis for everybody, away from everybody else in my group. And that was totally unintended. And in some ways, it's sort of like I've always wanted to be a member of their club. And sometimes they say, oh, I wish I went to Venice, I did this and didn't go to some, they want to be my club. It's, you know how it goes, and so it's not a part of a plan. It's not part of a concerted effort to do X or Y, to feature the films here or there. It just sort of happened. And I try to distance myself because it's my job simply to get the films made and to tell the stories as honestly as I can. And I can't control so much else. I can't control the festivals. At that festival that year, David Lynch was the head of the jury, Oshima was on the jury, Assayas was on the jury, Maria Vargas Llosa was on the jury, a Nobel Prize winner. Like, it was nuts. And they were so good to me. And if it weren't, and I owe David so much, if it weren't for him and for Oshima loving the film and them loving the film, I don't know where I would be. So in some ways, it is luck. And I'm saying all of this because I want everyone to understand how much of life is so beyond our control. And we like to think, oh, I planned it out, I went to Venice, and I got that prize, and it was... No, I was a shithead, I didn't know what I was doing, I was nervous, and it somehow worked out in that moment.